The world, the world, the world is a confusing place, strange place, and it's my job to make sure that people that enter into the world are going to do okay, and they're going to know what information they need, how to handle themselves. It's my job to do that. I don't mean like the world that you live in. I mean the world that I'm building, which is my game, which is called the God Killer, 3D top-down puzzler. Um, yeah, the schedule here: sessions like this happen Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. ish, and that's live coding in Unity with C Sharp on my game. I'm gonna kick off each one with a little demo. You don't have to watch me working. That might be boring for you, or it might be your thing. I don't know. I don't know you. But you can always check the first 10 minutes or so, and I'll give you an update of where I'm at. And Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All these times are Pacific Standard Time. I've got Killer Gamedev Sundays, and that is some tasks which are not programming, but still game development. You'll see me fiddling around with levels, creating levels. I think this Sunday, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start out with the very first levels of the game and start building them out. There'll be tutorial levels. It's a nice way to make it real, to make sure that the things I built are truly going to be sufficient to create actual levels for the player to play through. So let's go to demos. Demo. Okay, when I said that I was worried about people having enough information to deal with the world, I meant this world on the screen. I don't mean the world that contains McDonald's and 401ks and capybaras. No, because Dianetics has got that covered. They can give you everything you need to know to operate in that world. I mean, the Church of Scientology and the book Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. That should give you everything you need. But in my world here, you will need to have, just kidding, I think Scientology is bullshit. You'll need to have extra information, because there's things you can do here that you can't do in the real world. You can do something called flinging. Flinging means you move as far in the direction you intend to go as you can until an obstacle obstructs your progress, and then you come to a stop at that obstacle, unless it's a blocking obstacle, in which case you can't fling at all. So these red lines I added in last night, they tell you if you're going to be able to fling in a direction. So I don't have an ability to fling east. That would take me off into a void of nothingness. It would take me off to infinity. So it's not allowed. I can try flinging that direction. It won't let me. I can keep stepping over this way, and I can see just there's a big void over there. If I go down here, I think the boundary of where I decide you can't go any further is shown where this little X is. And that X is this new icon I created that says your way is blocked by something about here where I'm showing it. It doesn't really look like an X from this point of view, but I think it's distinct enough you'd probably get it after a while. There's other situations where it looks more like an X. I don't know. It might be like I need to make that icon a little more distinct. Okay, other situations. So you see how to the north of me, this little red ray here has 3 dots, and then there's a little circular icon. That means I can fling that way. Now I didn't really need that there. I could have still just figured it out just by looking at it. It's more useful for situations where I can't see what's further out on the screen. So if I go, okay, so now I know that north of me there is something that I can fling to that will catch me. So if I fling here, then there's a wall that caught me. So I don't go flying off into infinity. And then similarly, off over to the west, I can't see the wall yet, but I know that I can fling in that direction and there's something there. So that's what those lines do. There's one other case it handles that I'll show you. I'll do it by killing myself because that'll take me up top real fast. Okay, that sent me to a respawn point. The bright color in here makes it so that it's harder to see the lines there, but here's the deal. If I go down a little bit south, okay, seems to be a small bug in it. Let's see if I can. Okay, so there's an example. So the X is showing right in front of this guy here, indicating I can't fling. I can't even fling up close to him. The fling is entirely blocked. So whenever there's a creature that's in the path of flinging, you can't fling. So that's a general rule of the universe, of this particular universe. So right now I have this fling guide on all the time because I just barely wrote the code for it, and I'm interested in seeing how it works. And it's useful to have it like that now. But what I want to do is add more subtlety to it, where it only comes up after you've held down a key, which indicates you may want to fling, like you're getting ready to fling. So there's this shift key, and when held down, that means that the next time I hit like an arrow key, I'll go flinging. So what I can do is animate the fling guide to only come up if you hold the shift key, and not like right away, but just after a certain duration has passed, and then it comes up, and then it shows you like what the possibilities are for flinging. Be kind of like if you had a rifle and there was like an interface that showed a target where it was going to end up firing, but you don't want that to show all the time. You only want to show it like when you're ready to shoot something in the game that you're in. This game doesn't have rifles, but I thought that might be like a more readily accessible game convention. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna work on, animations and state around this particular feature. The other thing I'd like to do, I might do that next, is make all these little points just kind of bob up and down a little bit, so they're a little more interesting to look at. So yeah, that's the demo, and now I'm gonna start coding. And I'm a pretty chatty guy, as you might think by listening to me. I like conversations and chat, so feel free to chime in with stuff if that's your thing. This is all Unity development, C#, and I'm going to go off into code land now. So the first thing I thought I'd do is add a little bob to these guys. I don't mean a man named Bob. I mean a little up and down movement. So I'm going to think a little bit first before I start coding everything what the design for that should be. I think I want to use a sine wave, time delta as basis for up down. I want a constant for bob distance. And say cycles per second. So if you think of a sine wave as being a complete cycle, then a full A cycle would take you up and down, up and back. That would be one cycle. Okay, who's calling update? Because this isn't a mono behavior, it doesn't get called automatically. For in-game behavior, I have all the updates coordinated through one main update. So this will be like called by that, and that'll be, yeah, like just like I spoke out loud, the main loop. We'll call update. I think I don't need to be too tricky with the timing. I can say float. Time the latest mono behavior fixed update. No, I just want the time. Just the time. Time at the beginning of this frame. Alright. And then I can say percent. Maybe I don't want cycles per second. I want duration of cycle in seconds. Cycle duration. Const float cycle duration. I'll start out with something like once a second. That seems fine. So then what will this give me? This will give me a number between 0 and 1 if just to make it a little easier to follow. I'm going to change that to 3. So that will give me a number between 0 and 3. And I want to scale that to a radian, basically, so I can pass it to the sine. So I can do cycle ratio divided by cycle duration. Nope. Okay, so that'd be the ratio. And I'll say cycle position equals the ratio times math f. I think that's right. I think. What was it? Times 2. Okay, I can start with that. Then distance equals, have it be really pronounced to start. So it'll be a full meter. It will bob up and down, which should look kind of crazy, but that's all right. Okay, and then I'm thinking just to test it out. I don't want to go and do all the points yet. I'll just do the first point. Just the first point. So let's see, float y offset equals cycle mathf sin call this angle just to make it clearer. Cycle angle times bob distance. So this will return a number between 1 and -1, depending on the angle that's put into it. And I multiply that times the bob distance. That gives me an offset to move one of those points in that seq ray up or down. So I'm just going to take let's take take the first point in each one of these raised directions, and I'll bob it. There is one potential ray for each direction. So let's call it flutter. It occurs to me this code probably should get refactored up into the seq ray, but just so I can just test it out to start, add point y offset, set point y offset, set dot y offset 0 y offset. Okay, so then I gotta go implement that. Other things occur to me too. So many things occurring to me. Okay, so let me see. Seek dots. Position. Let's see. Vector. The thing is, if I set an offset on, if I set an offset on this just by adding to it, I don't have anything for it to return to. unless I do local position, because I think the local position should always be 0, I think. So if that were true, I could just set the Y offset like that, and then set it back. Good chance this looks really, really messed up. So here's my main loop update. Waiting for the Unity build. I really should optimize this in some way. I think all my third-party assets need to get put in a different directory or something like along those lines. I think that's what a lot of the slowness is. It's just rebuilding the compiler errors. Okay, well, let's fix these, I guess. I totally expect this to look really stupid. Whoa, it is bobbing. It is bobbing. That's pretty good for the first shot. In fact, it did like exactly what I asked it to. Exactly what I asked it to. Now if I do another one. So I gave it a really large bob distance of 1 meter. And I knew it was gonna go up and down too much. So that doesn't even bother me slightly that it's disappearing in the ground and coming back up, because that's like exactly what I expected to happen if it worked, and it did work. Okay, so good. I got math right the first time, and it is taking about 3 seconds. Let's see, let's time it from top. 1, 2, 3. Yep, 3 seconds. Okay. So now my feeling is that all this stuff in here needs to get refactored up into the seq array. I can just, from inside of here, I can call update on each of the seq arrays and just have them handle this task inside of them. That would be a more elegant way of handling this. Because this was just kind of like a garbage function here. It was not destined to live for very long. So let's call this update. So let's make the bob distance 0.4f. That has a chance of being correct, where nothing will disappear off the bottom. I no longer need to iterate through all 4 of these here. Arguably this does need to stay, it just becomes a private method. And I'll generalize it so it can be used on all the different types of points I have. So let's say this is point. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, this is meant for like editor type stuff, but it still applies to the game. So let's go ahead and move that all up there. I already have an update. Thinking about this a little bit. I don't want to do all that bobbing stuff when I'm in the editor. Yeah, I really don't, because it'll change the positions of things, and that'll get saved in state, and nah, just don't want that. So let's make this if application is plain update points. There's a thing like where I am in the cycle ratio also depends on how far out the point in question is. So I can say time by the cycle duration first thing, and then I want to add something to it. Let's see, cycle ratio. Maybe. Let's move. I won't calculate the offset right away, but I'll pass some of the starting work to it, and I'll finish the calculation inside of here, and that will contain the parts that are specific to the location of the dot, not the dot, let's say point index. Okay. So then I can say cycle ratio, cycle angle, okay. So then if I take this, I'll say cycle ratio with index equals plus equals point index times I'll just put a magic number in there for now. Cycle ratio plus a little bit for where it is relative to that whole seq ray, and then I do this modulo on the end. Is modulo going to work with that? I don't know if it's going to work with that. I'm actually just going to check it in JavaScript. I was wondering, like, you know, if modulo is if it works with floating point, I guess is basically a quick way to say it. So if I say 1.1% 1, okay, it does. At least in JavaScript it does, so it probably will in C# as well. 0.001, yeah, okay, cool. So that's valid. That'll keep my number after I add a little bit to it in the range of 0 to 1. Change this to that. Y offset would be sin times the bot. Okay, that should all be fine. So then I have to do some different stuff here depending on what state the fling ray is in. Switch state. if it's locked, I'm going to do one thing. If it's catching, I'll do a different thing. The most likely one I put at the top, just because it's a little more performant that way, I guess. It's good luck for performance to put the thing most likely to be executed at the top. So for seeking, it's going to be for int point I equals 0 to length. And all this. Seek dots, point I, cycle ratio. That's it for that one. Okay, for blocked. Blocked, there aren't any seek dots, but there is this guy. It's blocked and yep. Oh, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Phew, don't like that. Okay, and then this last one, it's a combination of both. So I'll set this out to here, length. Got it starting out at 1, 2. No, I don't know. So this will be length and catching and this is dead code. Okay. Okay, I'm going to wait for the little spinny, which means that Unity does its own build separate from that IDE build. There it is. Okay, now I can hit play and it will include the latest changes. I feel like I had too much luck on the first try. Now I'm due for some bad luck. It's working perfectly the first time. Oh, except no, it's working. It's slow. I think that's because of the broadcasting taking up extra CPU. I got it bobbing. I'm noticing that this guy over here, the catch icon, is not bobbing. I didn't want that to bob. Man, I've got good coding luck today. I'm just looking at it and thinking, do I want it to bob that much? Pretty distracting. It looks cool, but it's kind of distracting. I think I could take it down a little bit and it would be ideal. Is the X bobbing? I don't think it is. So another thing is I just really need some kind of solution for it to appear clearly over the light, bright areas. Okay, so these guys are not bobbing. I should fix that. Should fix that next. So, you know what? I'm not going to set this down all the way yet because it's useful right now to see when things are bobbing or not. If I make it too subtle, I'll miss it or spend a lot of time looking at it. Okay, so I'm calling this blocked end, which is a point. Might have failed. It's possible that it failed. Let me just see what's doing in the debugger. Oh, index had a range exception. That must be related. That must be related. I already got the debugger fired up. I hit play. Might as well test it out. That code's not even getting called. Weird. Weird. So maybe one of the points inside of here. Oh, I bet I know what it is. I bet I know. Maybe I don't know. I know at least one thing that's wrong, though, that I have to fix. So I've got this minimum capping here, but it's not getting set here. So, to do, just so I don't forget about it. That's one thing that's wrong that could contribute to those errors. But I don't know why the state is seeking all the time when it comes into here. There's none that are set to catching. That doesn't seem right to me. So let me go back up the stack. It's weird. Like it only shows me part of my call stack here. It's missing like the caller to seek ray update. I wanted to like go into that, but oh wait a minute. Okay, this is it here. But no, it is missing part of the call stack. It's missing. It's missing. Here, I'll just set a breakpoint there. Okay, what do the fling rays look like? Seeking north, seeking south, west I would expect to be catching. Seeking? Oh, I know what it is. Oh, I got it. So I set up these functions. They're not saying the state. They are changing everything needed to draw it right, but they're not saying the state. Okay, so let me fix a number of things here. Slowness. Okay. So back to here. Secret. Come on. Alright, so this needs to be like so. Okay, I gotta set the state. I want to add this other state here. I'm going to need it. Then it should give me some bobbers on the ends. Let me just check one other thing. There, it's bobbing. It's bobbing. And also it occurs to me that I made those endpoints really large. And they already take up a full square space. So any amount of bobbing is going to make them dip beneath the surface. So I might want to like special case them to have a smaller amount of bob. Okay, so those are going great. See if the X is bobbing. Yeah, X is bobbing too. Alright, it's not bad. It's not bad. It is the start of something. So I can fine-tune the bob a little bit. I kind of don't want to waste a whole compile test cycle on just that. So I'm going to go ahead and set those to some settings I think will be good. And then I'll move on to the next animation feature without testing it. And later on I'm going to do a test run. They'll all pop in together. Okay, Secret. Where's that bob stuff? Alright, so let's say, let's have the bob distance get passed in, or, yeah, have it be passed in. Float bob distance. Get rid of that. Down to 0.2 F, and then just a little bit of bob on end bob distance, just a little bit. 0.05 F. I think that'll look better. I think that'll look better. So then these are bob that much. Okay, just say that. That's probably all fine. That's like not worth doing a whole nother session or cycle to tweak. Let's move on. Next stuff. I wrote a bunch of notes on this morning when I was having coffee. I'm gonna see if I can remember my notes. If I can't, then I'll run like a scared child to my iPad, grab my iPad. So what was I wanted to do? I wanted to have an incremental update. Okay, changes to make from here. Incremental, add to length. What else? Handle transition between these states. Seeking to blocked, seeking to catching. I think the other state transitions are just, I don't need them. Also I want fling guides to activate only when shift held down and small duration elapsed. So to do that, what changes will I need? I think in my game loop, check for shift, and call player guide. It's going to be a new method I'll create. Set fling guide active flag. Okay. Then I want, inside of player guide, I want it to keep track of the amount of time since the last time the fling guide was set active, and once that time has elapsed, I want it to enter seeking mode. So in player guide update, track elapsed time to since activation, fling guide activate, and change from hidden to active to seeking. Okay. It's just a state machine basically. So yeah, it's just a state machine. So different states are going to have different handling. So if I'm in, if my state of the fling guide is hidden, it's going to do this. If state of seeking, okay, it's again this elapsed time. I'll call this activation time. Activation time is elapsed time since the fling guide activate. If activation time is greater than threshold, change from hidden to seeking. Okay. So here I want to calculate max length based on activation time. Then on the secret call, let's see, no. Find new length for each seek ray, pass max length in. Okay. This has to be for each seek ray. This is checking on the state of each one. Find new length for seek ray, passing max length in. So it'll go out as far as it can for the amount of time that's elapsed, which will allow this nice animated thing where the seek rays or fling rays kind of go whoop. It'll look cool. Okay. There's some function that's going to check that. That will be, I'll have to refactor that. So on board change, okay, so in player guide on board change, just set the board, nothing else. Guts, get refactored to, what's this new function going to be called? It'll be find. Let me just call it seek for fling ray. I can call it that, and I can say it would take board. It would take a delta for the direction it's going in. It would take starting location, starting CRH, column row height, current length, max length, and it'll return a state. Return new length, and it'll return a state. Okay. Call seek for fling ray. Update state based on return value if blocking or catching. If blocked or catching, then set seek resolved time. Okay. Blocked, catching, same kind of handling. Pass percent value based on percent complete value based on time elapsed since seek resolved time. This one I think I've defined enough that I can at least do the first part of this without worrying too much. I'd like to get it just so that the activation happens, and then I can add in the rest of this stuff bit by bit. Just wanted to define this design up front, because a lot of times if you just start adding things incrementally and you haven't thought of a design, you got to redo them because the initial things you do while they work, they aren't compatible with the rest of the design. So this is enough to start. So this activation logic, I'll do that next. Set fling guide active. Let me do this. So this says basically, did it become active for the first time? I gotta put it up above though. If so, let's record the time. This activation time equals time. I gotta add these values I just invented. And since this class will eventually have other things besides the fling guide, I'll be more specific. In my naming. Okay. So I'm thinking if I want to update my fling rays right away, or if I just want to just set it down here. I think I want to set it right away. At least for the case where it goes the opposite direction. What's it complain about? Okay. So in this case, I want to deactivate all my fling rays. That's worth putting it in its own function. Hide fling rays. Is that what I'm doing? Okay. So I should hide them. Now to show them. So I'll say that when you hold down the shift key, I don't want them to activate right away. But if you hold down for half a second, then we'll turn them on. There's another state to track there. So no, it's if the fling guide is active, that. The other state is, I can do it by just checking one of them. I'll say if not our fling rays, wait, say if our fling rays hidden and time minus when we activated it, if the time elapsed is long enough, then let's show them. Let us set them to seeking status, basically. Cut. Since I'm setting them all to be hidden at one time, it's okay to just check the first one. So whenever they're hidden, they're all hidden. Okay. Let's change this to be a little bit more refactored. Update fling rays. Okay, and here I need to this other function I dreamt up, seek for fling ray. So that one I can make static. I always like it when I can make a function static. Less to worry about. Okay. update fling race. So in here, I want to calculate my max length. Something. Let's just say, because I don't want to write all this right away. Let's just say 40. And then I don't know. It's like almost harder to not write it the correct way to start. Just for now, I'll just say to do. Whatever the delta is, I think I already have code for that up here. Okay, so it's going to be board delta fling raise. Let's see. Secret state. Board is what contains like all the logic, all the information about what's in what square. Okay. Do this, I can say that starts them seeking. Then we go here to update each fling ray based on the state returned. So state. gonna do the update. If I can just do like that. Okay, so set the state based on what this returns. Still gotta write that code. Still gotta write this code. This code's pretty easy. I might as well just do that code. So the max length based on a const be seek squares per second. And I'll say we can do, I'll make it slow to start. It'll be easier for troubleshooting. So max length equals the amount of time that has elapsed since the fling guide was activated. That'll be the value in seconds. I'll say seek squares per second. But also so that it doesn't like do like a really fast burst right at the beginning. I need to start it from like when it, the fling rays were first visible, when they first started seeking. So let's set a different time for that. Fling seek time. And for this I can set that here. Fling guide seek time equals time. What? Okay, so gotta convert all that to an integer. So then what that does is it sets like a maximum distance that this can seek to on this particular frame. That'll allow the seek rays to kind of gradually extend. Once I get working well, I'll make them kind of zip out fast, but to start, I'll keep them really slow. Okay, so I think the last thing I've got left is this seek for fling ray, which is all this logic up here. I might as well just drag it down and simplify it. I guess I'll do this too. Okay. This gets the coordinates of the player. I need to pass that now, so that's what here. Is that where it is? Yeah, that's it. Okay. What are you complaining about? Okay. That, I guess so. No longer need this. Don't need that. No, this is fine. Okay, so leave that. Don't need to check in each direction. I'll just be checking in one. The length will begin at current length. I'll just say new length. I think that's what I'm going to be returning. Okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need any of this. I'll take that out. Did notice that those were all +1, so I'll just repeat that here. Does seem like there's an off by 1 error here. No. Say new length is equal to the current length. Kind of look through the board to find the first thing that changes the state, or we get to the maximum length, then return the state, which could be seeking, could be, let me check this code. Catching or blocked, but there's no other state, so that's good. Might as well delete this. Simplify. Yeah, this is nagging at me because it was a little bit wrong before when I was displaying it without that +1, but now I'm also using the length that this fling right gets set to as a starting point here. So I could, well, you know what I could do? I could just do a -1 here. I'll probably do it. Now this is so much new code. So much. It's just destined to fail. Okay, now I gotta add in the code that responds to the key press. Game input. It's going to return back a command. Okay. So game input. What did I put for that? There's a lot of code in this project now. I've been busy. I suspect I'm going to have to add another command. Yeah, because I have not been calling shift a command. So there's a bunch of logic in here that looks over all of the possible states of the keyboard input and returns back a command. A command can be move up, move down, move left, move right, fling up, fling down, fling right. So I need to add like an extra command that it can map to. So add fling guide on, fling guide off. So let's see. Was fine. Equals. Stop it. Random pop-up. It's my software. Stop bugging me. Your nonsense. Equals is fine. Okay. If not was fling and is fling, okay. Let me think about this. There's some state here to retain. So before I go through and update the shift values, first I can just say was fling is that. Okay. So I want an actual walk or fling to be more important than this fling on off stuff or fling guide direction. So I'll say this is kind of getting dicey. I'm doing a lot of interpretation of game logic in here. So 2 ways I could do it. You know, I think it'll work because if you just, the only time you would get the shift thing before the keyboard press is if you just kind of jam both the keys together, or if you're in a very low frame rate situation. So I'm not going to worry too much about if both these events happen at the same time. That'll make this simpler. So if not was fling and is fling, command type equals command type fling guide on. Else, if we transition the other way, this might not be the best way to do it. I don't know. I'm going to try it first. I'm going to try it. We'll try it. left a note to myself about my doubts, about the dubious things. And that frees me to go back to all the other dubious stuff, which I've just got piles of it. So, alright, so the main object, it's going to return back a command. And this is no longer going to work. So before I used to say I'm only going to update the board if there's a command, and then I'll always update it. But now, like, one of my commands is something that should never update the board, which is that fling guide. It's kind of a meta command that doesn't really change the world that the player's in any way. So let me make a filter on that. That should handle that. Let me I'll just pass in the command to this as well, and that makes it a very non-standard update, but that's okay. It's not a mono behavior. You know what, I would even feel better about taking my advice that I wrote to myself just a moment ago. So let's just do this. Set is fling guide active. Is fling guide active. That means that instead of having this public method to call, I'm just going to say send a flag on each update, and this method here is going to deal with any state changes that are needed. And also, I'm not going to wait for a command to be sent based on whether the shift is up or down. I just kind of want like a general state to get returned back from the game input. Um, so I'll take these out. Because what I don't trust is that I'll be able to catch every single up or down event of the shift key. If there is like a time when frames drop and the user just happens to lift up on the shift key at that point, I won't catch that event, and then the fling guide will stay up. So what's better is if I just kind of track it as a state each time, like a constant state that gets set. So is fling guide on, or I want to call it something slightly different than the other one, because the other one, it tracks it like a different kind of state. Let's call it signal fling guide active. Then I can go to the game input and I can say I can take out this was fling state tracking logic, because I already got that elsewhere and it's not really appropriate to put it here. Say command there. I think I can be even more generic in my description, because I'd like to be able to map this later to different kinds of controllers and stuff. Let's call it fling active, meaning like the fling function is active and it doesn't have any judgment inside this code, no coupling to what will happen in response to fling being active, but it's just telling you it is. I'll even make it a mode. I'll call it fling mode. And I don't have to say signal anymore because I already abstracted it. So let's say is fling mode active, and that is a name I'm much happier with. And I've decoupled. Okay. Now, okay, you're good. Now go to the main loop again. And I'll leave this function here. It may be a useful abstraction. It's at least more readable too beneath. So that's fine. Command is fling mode active. I'll pass that to the player guide update. Player guide is going to do all the state management and timing needed for showing that fling guide and those fling rays. So I'm feeling much happier about this main loop, how it ended up, than just 5 minutes ago. dtab. Okay, I wrote so much new code. So much new code. So I wrote so much new code that I'm beyond wanting to just hit play and try it. Because if it worked right away, I still wouldn't be satisfied that the logic was correct. There's just too much new stuff here. So I really do need to set breakpoints and walk through it. But I'll set them inside the player guide. I'm going to do a thing where I just want to check for coverage. I'm going to make sure everything gets hit. I'm going to make sure everything gets hit. It's kind of like a poor man's unit testing. I've got unit tests too, but I just don't feel like it. I won't justify it. I just don't feel like it. So if I just kind of make sure all this stuff gets hit, then I'll feel more confident about everything working. Okay. And save all. That's been like a long, scary gap between when I started coding and now when I'm testing. So it's just I just assume it's got like 3-4 bugs in it at this point. I'll be happy if it compiles. And yo, it did. I'm happy it compiled. Compiled first try. That's the low standard I'm setting for myself right now. If you just set your expectations low enough, all you've got ahead of you is happiness. I'm gonna save. Save my scene. Save my project. And then I'll hit play. And I'll start thinking about what I want this code, or what I think this code will do, and making little assertions in my head. And then I'll see what it actually does inside the debugger. Where are we at? Okay, so it's on the update. At this point, I think the Fling guide is not active. That's true. I get to clear these breakpoints as I go to sort of mark that I've checked the code. So it's not active, so it's going to skip past this branch here. And it wasn't active before, so basically both these should be false. So that's false. This should be false as well. So it should just go down to here, kind of not do anything. Let's see. Yep. Okay, it should skip through this because nothing is active. I hit play. Alright. So now, as I walk around, I expect that no fling range will show because I haven't held down the shift key yet. As soon as I hold down the shift key, the game could change. Oh, what's this? Oh, board change. That's right. So it's just going to set the board to be used in case the fling ray starts up. Just saying a reference. And it will do that every time that I make a command movement change. Okay. So that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Everything working as expected for the cases where I don't have fling mode activated. We'll activate fling mode now. Awesome. So it is correctly detecting that I've entered the activation state. It's going to save the time. Okay. Cool. Good. Update will go a different path. Oh, what's this? Who's calling me? Oh, okay, it went down into here. So are they hidden? They should be hidden. They should be hidden. I expect this will return true. What? Yeah. Okay, so they're hidden. So that means I need to start them seeking. What? Oh, the time, enough time has not elapsed for this to, there's this threshold of time that has to pass after I hit the shift key before they come on. Okay, so now I'm down to update fling rays, and this should do not too much at all. Let me see. So the max length will be 68, and it's really high because I'm going through the debugger, and like all these durations are meant to cover shorter amounts of time that would be visible. So that's all fine. Then let's check each direction. Deltas. Now it would be nice, and I'll make a note here to do. Don't call this if. Actually, it's not just for performance, but it shouldn't call this if the fling ray is hidden. Fling rays are hidden. Okay. Should be 0. -1, huh? Oh, because I did that -1 thing down here. That's going to cause me grief. That's not correct. Okay. To do cannot be -1. Must be. Need to fix off by 1 and secret. Okay, cool. So I'm going to increase the length. Problem with that -1 is it actually would have looked in the square that I shouldn't look in. So what state will it say? Catching. So yeah, that's a mistake. So it backed up the wrong way. Okay. I kind of feel like not undoing these guys because I'm gonna have to check them again after I fix this bug. So I'll leave those breakpoints there. I expect them to screw up a bit. That's fine. Catching again. Check my delta. Yep, it's going west for this one. Catching. Okay. That's from that -1 mistake. Blocked on one of them. Okay, I don't really get that, but what ifs. Okay, I expect it will look like something crazy. Also, this is going to keep getting called. I don't want... Okay. If fling rays... More generally, I don't want to get called if the fling rays are not seeking. So, if it's already caught or blocked, I don't want it to keep on extending it or looking to extend. Alright, this is going to be garbage. It might even be like something that crashes Unity because it keeps seeking forever. Maybe it won't be that bad, but I might as well stop it because it's going to be nothing close to good. So here's my goal for this session. I want to see that activation stuff working, and I'm okay if there's a few bugs to come back to. I just want to see the activation work well. So let's take out that length -1. Let's update flame rise. Where is that getting called? Okay. Check this again. If not, our fling race hit. Let's not put it there. Let's go up here. If the state of this whole thing is not seeking, we're not doing nothing. We're not gonna do anything with this. I'm just gonna continue on and to check the next ray. I'm gonna say it's okay to call this without first checking for some state, because the state will be checked inside. I kind of don't like that this max length is calculated even if they're all inactive, but it would be happening. I don't know. It's not something to necessarily optimize. That would definitely be premature. I think this was fine. Actually, I don't know if this got called. I don't think it did get called. Yeah, I do not think it got called. So let us do that. And also, I'm gonna take off this new length +1 stuff. So I already know that logically that will cause problems. So if I take that out, I'll get a display bug. But display bugs are much easier to fix than... No, I shouldn't say that. Fixing a display bug does not run as deep. So there's less things affected by it. I might have hit play too quick. It could be going off the old version. I'm not sure if it's smart enough to do a check right before it starts up and make sure that it gets the... See, it might be building right there. That would be my hope. I'll see pretty soon if it got the old version or if it's using the new built version. Okay. Okay, hold down Shift. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, it worked, it worked. And it turned off. It turned off. Oh. I'm gonna do it again. There it is! Oh, yes. Ah. So, it's not... Okay, and then it catches. Is that what it did? It caught after a while? No, it got all the way to the max. It got all the way to max. And then it changed to its catching state. But there's some error where it's not like catching in the right spot. Okay, let up off of Shift. Slowly turns off. I don't understand why it's so slow to turn off. So it's not a bad timing that I picked to wait a half second. So I could probably make it start a little bit sooner. The thing I wanted to do is, like, if I'm don't want to use the guide, if I'm just using Shift to initiate the fling, then I just want it to not start a guide up on me. But I'll hold down a little bit longer, like that. Yeah, I could probably start it a little bit faster. Okay. I don't know. I could try to fix like one more bug, or I could end here in this nice victory point. I think I'm going to save the rest of the bug fixing for a little bit later. I'll make this a victory point. It's good to end when you've just accomplished something. At least I feel that way. Other people like to leave little problems hanging on to come back to, or they like to just start a new task and then leave the rest of it to be picked up the next day. The idea being, like, it helps you be more motivated to pick up that work later on, because, and not just that, but also that your brain would be sort of working on the solution while you're sleeping. I don't know. It's a theory. I've tried it a little bit. Sometimes it's good, but I don't have a problem with motivation. I don't know how much value I get out of that work while you're sleeping type thing. If anything, I try to just get my brain to shut off at night so I can fall asleep, and I watch TV in my ears. I mean, I have it going in my ears so that it sort of blocks my brain from, like, waking me up in the middle of the night with different problems. So I prefer ending a workday on a victory. I'm calling this victory. I'm calling this smells like victory to me. Alright, so for the person who was either lurking or zombie watching me, I appreciate that, actually. Even zombie watches are good, because when there's like one viewer, even though they're not paying attention or chatting, or 3 viewers or 4, then that like moves me up in the fold, so other people might stop in and say, oh, here's one that at least has a few people watching it. So yeah, I guess I'm gaming it a little bit that way. Doesn't really matter, but it would be nice to get a few more people watching. Anyways, thank you. If you want to join me later, check out my schedule. But it's Wednesday. I'll be back on tomorrow evening, Thursday, July the 4th. You're not going to come in and watch me on July the 4th, are you? I suppose like if you're an American, you might be very unlikely to. But other people in other countries, July 4th doesn't mean anything to them. So, anyways, good night, goodbye, have fun. Boom, stopping the stream. I am, in fact, stopping the stream.